Oh, friends, comic creators, other kinds of creators, creative individuals. How are you doing? This is Marshall Lee of DonkeyJawProjects.com. And we're going to talk about the joy of stupid ideas. Yes, you heard me right. The power of stupid ideas. Um, and something that I've been thinking about today and last night. And yeah, we're gonna get into it and see what you guys think. There's there's a lot of awesome stuff that we take in on a daily basis. Stories, movies, TV shows, comic books, um, all kinds of things. YouTube videos. But sometimes, it's possible that originally when they were conceived and maybe the person who conceived them brought them up to somebody uh, that that person what was it, may have said, "Oh, that's a stupid idea," or "That's a dumb idea," or "That's silly," or "I don't really get it." You know, it's not whatever it is that people might say, and I'm glad that those people who created those awesome things didn't let that stop them, or else we wouldn't have those awesome things. So that's the basic premise, and we're going to talk more about it as we hang out here today for a little bit. Um, and I think you'll understand what I'm getting at more and more as I discuss, and we'll probably get into some drawing and stuff. Um, but first, we'll look at some interesting things, some happy mail that came in, and things like that. And yeah, so I hope everybody is doing well during this holiday season. I feel like I should be playing some Christmas music or something. I still haven't gotten into the holiday spirit, quote unquote, as of yet. But I'm working my way. I'm working my way back to you. To Christmas. I'm working my way up to it. It's been crazy. I've been busy. Finally got the new studio situation set up, so that's good. Also, I got another cold, within basically over the weekend. So, not as bad as the one I had, I guess, a month ago. So that's good. It's been a very not a very severe cold. I'm already mostly over it, but still got some sniffles, still got some things going on, but for the most part, I'm good. But it's been going around. I don't know. I know like pretty much everybody at my job got like a severe cold slash and or COVID. And it's going around. It's tis the season, as they say. So what is up, Sideburns? How you doing? Good morning over there down under in Australia, or is it in Australia or New Zealand? I know you're over there somewhere over there. How you doing, man? What's up, Maria? Hello, hello. How's things going, everybody? So yeah, I did get some things in the mail recently. In the last week. So yeah, we'll be checking some of that stuff out. Yes, Australia. I thought it was Australia, but as I said Australia, I'm like, I do have some friends in New Zealand, and I don't want to mistake it. But I pretty much knew it was in Australia. So yeah, man. For you, oh, it's kind of summer over there, huh? Or getting to be summer soon. Maybe it's spring technically. I don't know. But that's cool. Um, so here we go. So I got some stuff. I got some happy mail from Dede Willingham. You guys know her. She is and some other things too. It's not. I'm gonna just share kind of everything kind of that came in the mail recently, basically. Um, We hate each other. Oh yeah, New Zealand hates Australia, and it is summer. Okay, cool. Um, well, I don't know. I mean, what the rivalry situation may or may not be with New Zealand and Australia, but I know you're nearby each other, so why can't we just all get along? Why can't we get along? Anyways, so let's see. What was I saying? Oh yeah. Dede, uh, who is an admin of the show, uh, is sent me some stuff last time I was watching her, or one of the times I was watching her show that she does on Monday mornings and Wednesday mornings. She'll have it again tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to check that out, I always have fun hanging out and listening to her talk about her crafts and show her happy mail off and stuff, and her art, showing her art off, and kind of teaching people how to do different art techniques and stuff. She's a very talented artist. Um, you know, so I enjoy it. And one of the things she did recently was she showed these like scroll things that she made. Now, when I heard scroll, because I listen to these, you know, streams, and then once in a while I take a peek if there's something that I feel like I need to specifically see, but I'm at work, so it's like I can't really like watch the whole thing. I have to just kind of peek once in a while as I'm working and listening. She was talking about, oh, I make these scrolls and stuff, and something about showing people how she makes the scrolls. And I'm like, oh, I got to see this because I have ideas for comics that are in like a scroll format. Now, what she does, I think, is more like a decorative, like I think they're prayer scrolls or something. And they're more almost, I think they're decorative or more like ornamental or something. I almost feel like you could hang it on a Christmas tree or something. But or maybe people hang it in their windows and stuff, which is really cool. But I'm thinking like scrolls and like I don't know, like ancient scrolls, like Jewish people had scrolls, and that's how the scriptures were kind of kept and things like that. This is something, it's like a more decorative version of that, but it's still, I still dig it. I'm like, okay, this might be something fun to like experiment with. So, she sent like these like fabric-y things, which that's what they tend to do, I guess, with these scrolls that she makes, and like some decorative things too, which is really cool, these beads and stuff. Um, so that's really neat. We got some other stuff too. That's really cool. So we will have to try to make some use of this stuff. So yeah, just like some fabrics and things. And that's, like I said, how they kind of do. She just was like, well, she's like, how are you're gonna make a scroll? Like, I don't get it. But if you want to, I'll send you some stuff. I'm like, okay, if you want to send me some stuff, cool. I really like, this is kind of cool. Like, I like the colors and stuff. That's pretty neat. So we shall try to make use of some of this stuff. But this is one, and she sent this little post-it. Have fun. I will. Thank you, Dede. Um, and then she sent like this parchment paper type stuff, which is really cool. I love this. This is really neat. So this, I'm really curious to try to make something out of. This I think is the material she uses for the actual like paper scroll thingy. So yeah, that's cool. And then she uses like these hook things, and this is what she was kind of trying to show me and tell me about too. It was like you could get these, I guess, in like Hobby Lobby and stuff. And this is how it's kind of hangs from this and everything. You have to watch her channel to see exactly what it looks like and stuff. But yeah, pretty neat, cool stuff. And so she sent me that. So thank you, Dede. That was really nice of you. So yeah, I got that in the mail this week. Let me put this to the side. And then also I ordered some zines, and I was talking about zines in the last episode. Really been having fun digging into the whole idea of zines and everything lately. And, you know, so I ordered some stuff that I thought was cool. There's still some other stuff coming, but, you know, I got some of that in today and yesterday. So I'm glad that it came in for the show and stuff so I could show some stuff off. This is, I haven't even looked through some of these things because it just came in today. And I had to have like dinner and then, you know, set up for things and whatnot. This is the first time I'm doing a video in this new like studio setup. So, you know, I had to do some extra setup. It's all ready, but like, yeah, I actually couldn't find my like camera that you guys are watching from. I put it in a safe, Maria will appreciate this. I put it in a safe space, a safe place. And, you know, it took me a long time to find out where that safe place was today. So that was a little bit like, I'm trying to be here early and get ready, and I'm spending time looking for this thing. I found it though. You're now looking through the glass of that camera. So this is a mixed media zine, which is really neat. It's, you know, printed on paper, but it was, you know, I think it was like I think this was like it looks like it's a traditional like mixed media thing where it's like actual physical paper, but then they turned it, you know, printed it or whatever. So this is by Brat Wizard, and I found these on Etsy. All of this stuff on Etsy. Well, actually, not just the zines, but like this one, these bigger ones underneath is I found somewhere else. I'll talk about it in a bit. But I thought this was cool, you know, a mixed media zine. Like I said, I haven't even read it yet, but I guess I could right here and now. I don't know if these are, you know, what the messages are, but there's life in the old galaxy. Ooh, interesting. Creatures in on the dunes. A profusion of forms, bizarre and strange. I'll try to put it a little closer so you guys can see. It's kind of neat, like all these creatures and stuff. An inhospitable planet. Effects of an ancient cataclysm. Maybe I shouldn't show these, but the moon illuminates nocturnal dancers, piecing together fragments of primordial cities waiting for the old gods to arise from the ashes. Ooh, Brat Wizard. So that's pretty neat. It's like they kind of made a little mini story out of like these creatures that they created out of you know, mixed media stuff and kind of just putting things together with backgrounds, and pretty neat, pretty cool stuff. So I thought that was cool. And then these are my first library memory. And like I said, you could do zines of anything. So this is pretty cool. When I was little and shy, I loved the library bathroom with tile walls so high. I'd stand there and sing, oblivious to those listening. And that's what I was told when hired. Okay, all right, interesting. So that's cool. You know, it's just somebody talking about their first library memory. And again, another mixed media thing you could see. You know, they're using like graph paper and like architectural sketches and post-it drawings and just drawings, and yeah, pretty neat. So, and it's got like this library card thing going on, and they sent like a thank you thing. Thank you, Marshall, so much. And it's like a library card. It's like a cutout piece of a library card. Um, so yeah, interesting. And then they sent this little extra bonus zine, Meet the Artist Annie. So that's cool. And things I like, things I don't like. And, you know, just some cool stuff. So that's neat. I'll read more of that later. Dede, what's up? Let's see. Hello, hello. Yes, I got the mail. I don't know if you saw like me showing it off or not, but you could. I guess you could watch in the replay. Um, but yeah, I'm glad you're here. Thank you for the happy mail. That's so cool. Yes, I got it. I meant to. Oh, see, yesterday was busy, and I meant to message you and say, "Hey, I got it." And last night took forever just to get home because I had to go to the post office because there's something I ordered, like I don't know, over a month ago, I think now. Well, no, what time? No, it's not over a month ago. I'm exaggerating. It was in November 22nd. It was supposed to be delivered. And because I changed addresses and all this stuff, like it it went to where I wanted it to go, but then they never delivered it, and then they brought it back to a whole other town, and then like it got lost in the mail. So I was at the post office for a long time last night, and they still couldn't find it. So I don't know. It's not a big deal. It's just like a comic that's it's not like it's worth a lot or anything. It's just if it I don't know. Like I'll try to keep finding it and stuff, but I may never get it. So, a friend of mine who I was taught, the guy, my buddy Will, who is doing that zine that I showed you stuff that I'm like contributing to a little bit and all that. He uh, messaged me about this person's comics, um, and I was like, that looks so cool, and you know, I was like, this is I don't know, it's just like kind of hit me like it looks like kind of old school. It definitely reminds me of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and stuff, and it's just got that vibe, and it's kind of got a zine vibe too. And so Steel Streets by Madi Keen, I guess. So yeah, and I won't show you everything here and stuff, but I read this one today. I think it was today, and it was pretty good. It was pretty interesting. It is got some kind of violent stuff going on, but it's cartoony violent stuff, and it definitely you could tell this person like there's a lot of things where I'm like I'm pretty sure that this person was like directly specifically influenced by like Ninja Turtles and stuff. But it's just kind of a cool comic, and I'm like, oh, this is really neat. I got to check it out. So I bought a few of his comics, and I was like, nice. So I read almost all of them. This one's a little thicker, so I got like halfway through this. I didn't read this one fully yet. This is the second issue of Steel Streets, and again, just interesting stuff. I'm curious. I'm like interested in where the story's going and all that. And it's kind of telling some origin story stuff and all that. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. Um, Superhero Comics, and if you go to superherocomics.com, you can find his stuff. In fact, I suppose I could put it in the thingy. Let's see, http:// hopefully I do this right, because I think you have to put that in there for it to like actually link. Superherocomics.com, and there's definitely like swears in this and stuff, and there's some violence and stuff. It's not like super crazy, but it's got adult content, I guess. So just be warned. Don't like go into it thinking, oh, this is gonna be a fun, happy kids thing. It's not that. But I dig it. It's pretty cool. So I'll put the old link in there. Hopefully that link works. Let's see. Let's see if that link, yeah, looks like it worked, so that's good. So yeah, and then bootleg Spider-Man. And it's pretty neat. I read this one too. And it says bootlegged with respect by Superhero Comics. So I kind of like to see that. Spider-Man created by Stan Lee, Steve Ditko. Obviously, if he got big with this comic, he could get in trouble and get sued and stuff. But, they're not going to really do much about, like, it's not like something, usually they don't, like, try to find these kind of small fries, I guess. So anyways, I thought this was kind of interesting. I'm interested in like bootleg comics anyways, or fanzines and stuff. And so I was like, I'm digging it. I like this kind of rough around the edges type of style of comic books and artwork and stuff. So it was right up my alley. So this weekend I was working on trying to do like a YouTube video. And it didn't fully happen because what I was working on was photocopy comics. And basically I wanted to use um my printer as like an art tool and try to just do different techniques with it and stuff. So this is just some of the kind of stuff I started working on, but the problem is my printer ran out of ink. So I got more ink, but I didn't get back to the project yet since I got more ink. So, that'll be happening. But these were just some things I did some stuff with printers, and then I like kind of did some things to mix it up a little bit. This is just the first step. I don't know what this is going to necessarily become. I mean, I want it to be like a zine / comic, so there's some potential I can see just in these basic images. And like I said, this is just the first step, but I already, started doing like this collage work. And like I said, I ran out of ink. So we shall see how that progresses. But I just wanted to show you guys that a little bit as we were talking. And then last night, I spent some time. I was tired. I'm tired tonight too. But I was kind of tired, and I have this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Ultimate Collection, IDW by IDW. And I have the first volume and the second volume. This one collects the first the first 7 issues of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So that's awesome. And I read the first 2 issues last night. And that's the first time I actually read these comics. Stuff has been on my shelf for a while now, at least a couple of years. And I'm just now getting to read them. And I'll tell you, I really enjoyed the first issue, especially. The second issue was enjoyable as well, but not it wasn't as good as the first. But I was surprised. I think it's a 40-page comic, which is crazy. And people always talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as like, the first ones that Eastman and Laird did as like, crude art and stuff. And as I'm looking through this, I'm like, dude, it's not crude. I mean, it's not as crude as I thought. Like, this is some good art. Like, I actually think it's pretty cool. I like how the Ninja Turtles look in this era. Like, they have a little bit more of a Muppet look. They have a little bit more of a cartoony look. But there's good design in here. Like, this is really good illustration and design. And like, even looking at like some of the guns are actually pretty realistic, relatively, like for cartoon stuff. you know, they you could tell they used reference and stuff, and they did a pretty good job drawing some of that stuff. And I don't know, like the fighting looks good and interesting, and you know, there's energy to it and there's good design, you know. So I was super happy. This page is like a classic page, I guess. I didn't But it's like they actually debated on whether they would include this page or not, because it's literally a cityscape, you know, and it's like there's no, you know, nobody there, you know, but it really actually sets a really cool tone to this, you know, to and it's I'm so glad they left it in, because it feels like, I don't know, it just sets a really cool tone, and it just makes it feel like there's not enough sometimes quiet moments, I guess, in comics, and this is one of them. And it makes the point of what they say, because it says this is like a theme throughout their comic, because they're ninjas, you know, and it's like we strike hard and fade away into the night, and then it's just quiet, and it's like it's dope. Like I don't know. And then you know, the thing is like this is actually this first issue is actually a really good story. Like it's pretty darn decent. It's got like, you know, 3 act structure type of thing going on. It's got like, you know, origin story. It moves along. There's action. It's just pretty, actually really good storytelling in my opinion. And I actually love I think it was Eastman who did it, the hand lettering, you know. And this is not what would be considered like necessary. This would be probably considered um relatively novice hand lettering, but I love it. Like, to me, I'll take this hand lettering any day. I love it. I like it better than the stuff that is done more professionally, to be honest. So yeah, I don't know. I dig it. And I don't know, I just really enjoyed it. And like they go into the flashback, kind of telling the Ninja Turtles origin and Splinter's origin, and then Raphael goes on his quest to go send a message to Shredder. And I mean, it's actually a really cool. Like, look at this. Look at that. This and you could tell like the influence of like Frank Miller, because they were heavily influenced by early Frank Miller with Daredevil and stuff like that. Dark Knight hadn't come out yet, so it wasn't that stuff. But um, you know, they were also heavily influenced by Kirby. So yeah, I mean, the storytelling is great in all of this, in my opinion, and they use enough background, like really cool background imagery, and then they take out the background imagery. It's not always needed in every panel, but they keep it, you know, sprinkled throughout, so you have a good idea of where they're at and everything. And it's good stuff. Like, this is just a good, like, I can see why the Ninja Turtles took off, you know, and were popular, because this was actually a pretty darn good story. Like, it's just as good as any comics, you know, superhero comic story, in my opinion. Um, and like, I love this turtle, like this Raphael, like it's more cartoony, it's more Muppety, but I actually like this version um a lot. Like, so I'm excited like to continue reading these issues. I love this whole sequence, and then they like climb up. Like, I love that long panel, and they're looking for Shredder, and this is like the showdown and everything. And sorry, spoiler alert, but I'm just kind of going through, you know, the first issue. This is such an awesome double page spread, you know, in the fight and everything. I was so much like, I'm so happy that I decided to finally like sink my teeth into this, you know. I love these little panels where they're just kind of, there's one of them jumping or something. It's like so cool. And yeah, just really cool stuff. I love it. And it made me like my first experience with the turtles is from the cartoon, you know. Um and it's you know, I never read the comics until now. I've always been interested and influenced by them, even though I never dug into them like I would have liked to. And I've always wanted to dig into them. But look at this is like the first full drawing of all the Ninja Turtles. Um, and I love this version. They look more cartoony, more like Von Bodie type of style or something. And like it's just so neat. Like I want to draw the turtles like that. Like that's really cool. And I wish there was more. I wish they stuck with this style almost, but I dig all the different iterations too. And I like this style's cool. Like this style's a little bit veering away from that initial, they did do other drawings, a couple other drawings before that. But this was like the third drawing they did. Like they kind of were drawing two characters, I think, at one point, and then they're like, all right, let's like turn it into like a like this was their first time. Like, look at this. Like they were just having fun, like making up this weird team of like ninjas and stuff. And so, at the end of each issue, they have this thing where they kind of, they got Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird like kind of saying their thing about their experience, and they kind of do a little bit of a page breakdown commentary thing. Here's the early drawing of Shredder. Um, just really cool stuff. And then it's the second issue. Like, I don't know. Like, I just like look at this double page spread. It's so awesome. Like, and I was reading all like what are the titles of all the books on the shelf and stuff. And Donatello here is working on a circuit board, which is foreshadowing of what comes in the rest of this particular um, issue and everything. And like I said, the second issue, I loved it, but not because it was a great story. It was very plot heavy, not very much, not as much character as I'd like to see as there was in like the first issue. But still, like I'm looking forward. I heard the third issue is really good. I'm looking forward to continuing reading it and stuff. Um, the bad guy, like he's like very flat. Like there's like no real motive to why it seems like he's just kind of a creep, being a creep for being a creep's sake, being a bad guy for being bad sake, which not very good development there, but like whatever, it is what it is. I mean, that's part of the crudeness of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I think, in the beginning. But I love the art. The art is beautiful to me. And April O'Neil is the first time she comes in. This introduction, from April O'Neil to the Turtles is pretty neat. Like it's a good plot wise, it's a pretty good story. It follows like typical storytelling techniques and stuff, but I just wish the character stuff was a little bit better, stronger, especially with the villain. It's really just the villain to me that's like underdeveloped, but it's also very cinematic. Like, it's pretty interesting because the movie, takes cues from like the first issue and some of these early issues and stuff. And like this, especially this, like this feels very like kind of cinematic. And anytime I see panels like this, a lot of times they feel pretty cinematic. And even like this little sequence here, showing them with all their weapons and stuff, and they just have really good storytelling. Actually, they're there's a it's not it's not just because it was a weird idea that it jumped off, even though that's kind of part of it. Um, it's also because there's something in here that's really good, and it's the storytelling, it's the influence of Kirby and Frank Miller, them being influenced by that. And you could tell like they put everything that they loved about comics into these comics. There's so much energy. Like I am like I'm not surprised that this took off the way it did, and it's such a great example for us. Like, it's hard to like kind of, you know exactly what to take away as far as like if we're trying to make a successful comic book career or something, because Ninja Turtles is like literally capturing like lightning in a bottle. Like, they just the stars kind of align type of thing. Like, this double page spread is so good. It's so awesome. Um, so it's kind of impossible to replicate specifically what they did, but like at the same time, like there are things we can learn, I think, from this, and it's such an inspiration. And I'm so glad I finally, like I said, dug my teeth into it. So yeah, I don't know. Like, and this is, this and like the mini comics and the zines and stuff is kind of what spurred the topic of tonight's discussion that I'm going to talk about. So, we'll get into it, but let's check out the chat real quick. Let's see. Stupid ideas rule if done right. Yeah, well, exactly. But like, and Ninja Turtles to me is like, in some ways, it's like the epitome of this idea of stupid ideas, because it's not really a stupid idea necessarily. Like, I say stupid idea in quotes, like lovingly, because most ideas, a lot of ideas, before they're like fully like realized, could seem like kind of stupid ideas. I'm sorry for the glare. I don't know really how to fix that. I could try. But let me see if I could bring down the brightness. That usually never seems to work, but here we go. It's like I have to like deflect the light or something, type of thing. See, but then that's too dark. But let me put the brightness back up. That brightness thing, I always try to change that and it never really does much. Um, so I don't know. Maybe exposure. Ooh, exposure helps. Exposure kind of helps. Well, hopefully that's a little better. Contrast. Yeah, I don't know. We'll go with that for now. But yeah, uh, stupid ideas. Like, and the thing is like, the Ninja Turtles are like, it's just that name, like right out the gate, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like, if you grew up like if you weren't around when this first came out, like, well, for me, before there was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I first heard of them when it was a cartoon. And I guess everybody first hears of them at some point, like, and it probably does seem like an odd title, the first time. Oh, this is the back cover, which I think is really cool. Um, so, it's a weird title, you know, just that thing when you first hear it, it's like, what is this thing? Like, are you kidding me? Like, but it just was like, it kind of was weird enough to like be awesome at the same time. And I don't know, there's just something about it, but it's not just weird ideas, because there's a lot of weird ideas that can kind of come through, or what might be thought of as stupid ideas, but like they still have to have something to them. It can't just be like, you know, silly or stupid for the sake of being silly or stupid. There's got to be something to it that actually is pretty cool about it too. So yeah, I don't know. We'll get into that a little bit more. That turtle zine looks awesome. was big fan of the Turtles when they came out originally. Yeah, man. Artist Ralph, old school Turtles is awesome. Yeah, I'm digging it. Oh man. Let's see. What's up, Chris Clue? How you doing? Thank you for coming on and hanging out. Everybody, thank you. Artist Ralph, original TMNT really helped me appreciate black and white comics when I was younger. Yeah, and that's the thing too, is like that's probably part of why I didn't sink my teeth in earlier because I'm kind of late to the game when it comes to appreciating black and white comics myself. I think the thing that really turned me around was manga, and I was late to the game on manga kind of too. But when I realized, wait a minute, some of these manga that I think are awesome, well, guess what? They're all in black and white, and I don't even think twice about it, because that's just what manga is. And then I'm like, why do I care if it's black and white? That's stupid. So I don't really care anymore, and I actually prefer it sometimes. Not always. Sometimes I want color. But yeah. So it's so inspiring to me, and like it also makes me feel like, well, you know, is no such thing really as a stupid idea. Exactly. Well, maybe that's not true. I don't know, but like it makes me think like, and actually that was one thing I wanted to do, was bring out some of my like silly ideas I've had in the past. But like, you know, I've come up with a lot of like silly, cheesy, like comic book ideas and stuff. Um uh yeah, I just saw this. Shelly Castile. Hi Marsh. Had to sign in because of the name of this video. Well, hey, the title did its work then. I hope it's something that's interesting to you, because I think it's interesting. I don't like, sometimes I put funny titles to videos, kind of because I do want to like get people interested. But at the same time, I hope I'm delivering on the on it too, because there is a reason. It's not just because I want clicks or whatever. It's literally like, I actually am thinking about making a zine specifically called Stupid Ideas, and it'll probably talk about more of like some of the ideas I've had and stuff, and maybe some of this too. It's like when I'm sitting here talking to you guys about all this stuff, I can tell you the best that I can, my thoughts, but when I can sit down and actually like write what I think, sometimes it comes out a little better. So I'm thinking about doing a zine where like I kind of go a little bit deeper into some of my thoughts on this, but we're going to talk about it some more too tonight anyways. um but yeah, let's see. Okay, so it looks like I'm pretty caught up here with the chat, but so I don't know. I was thinking about doing a little sketching myself. It feels like it's weird. Like I feel like we're kind of hot, but it's not really hot temperature in here. I don't think. It's really weird, and it's not. I mean, I'm kind of over being sick, but I mean, and now that I'm talking, my nose is getting stuffy and stuff. So it's. But I mean, even like Spawn. Here we go. Like drawings I've done of like Spawn and stuff. And it's not my idea. But if you think of like Spawn, it's kind of a stupid idea. um, you know, but it's an interesting idea, and I was digging it. Um, obviously, because that's what part of what I grew up on was the Image comic stuff, and here's like, I don't remember. Oh yeah, like, so this was like kind of an idea I was coming up with, and I was trying to. I have all these like I said, that Bloodstorm comic type of thing I want to do, and it's basically me doing the kind of comics I wanted to do as a kid. And so this is like a character that is kind of based off of like Lady of Rage from like Snoop Dogg and like Dr. Dre albums and stuff back in the days. And you know, just kind of this like rough, tough, like chick, but she's got like, you know, metal arms and legs and stuff. And I think I had a name even for this particular character, but like it wasn't, I don't know if it's a good idea or not, but I drew it anyways because I'm like, well, let me give it a shot. So, I mean, your sketchbook is like the greatest place to kind of play around with some stupid ideas, you know? Um, Give it a shot. And I was watching, there's this dude, that a new comic, a relatively newer comic book YouTuber guy. He goes by Dead Gremlin Comics, and comics with an X, I think. Check him out on YouTube. In fact, you know what? Let me just throw the link in the description or in the thingy, um, so you guys can check him out too. But I was watching one of his sketchbook tours, and you know, it was just like goofy, like kind of characters, just odd characters, and also like, so he was doing this video about like 90s comics and stuff, and it was pretty cool. And he was just pointing out the fact that like a lot of 90s comics is like two words put together, like blood pool, or you know, death what death scraper, or like, I don't know, just weird weird stuff. um like Stormwatch was one of them. I think that's where he like kind of talked about it. And anyways, so that was interesting, and then like that got me thinking about this idea of like stupid ideas as well. um so here, I'll put the link in the description. So that's that guy's YouTube channel. uh So, you know, I mean, here's some silly ideas. That was me just kind of trying to, I wish, I don't know how to make it look better. Let's take this brightness down again, and the contrast, and I don't know, apply. Oh, goodness. Yeah, it's weird. Turn down the exposure, the gain. Like, I could turn down, see, I keep trying to put it onto audio. I could turn down this light. See, I put my hand, it'll probably adjust. Um, Let me see, where's the thingy, the controller for the light? It's so hard to get the light right. I don't even know how to do it on these live streams. That's not the right thingy. Where is it? Excuse me. Like, I can turn it down, but it just gets so low that I almost can't see myself. Like, that's like the lowest setting, and then you guys can't really see it either almost. Like, it's so weird. If I put the exposure up, nope, that doesn't make it, that makes it worse. If I put the brightness up, it doesn't even seem to do anything. So I don't know. Sharpness, that kind of helps. Let's turn the brightness down. Like, no matter what I do with the brightness, it doesn't like do like help. It's weird. But that's a little better at least. So I need to get some kind of better lighting or something. But yeah, these are just like little monsters like I might create, and then obviously there's observational sketches and stuff. So I mean, I'm not really trying to show you the sketchbook so much, but this was an idea that one of the people here on the stream came up with, Toothy Fairy. And I just kind of drew what my thoughts of a toothy fairy was. That was in a stream relatively recently. So, you know, and then you just kind of work out these ideas. But it's like, whatever your idea is, like, don't ever think that it's too stupid or whatever, because like this is a goofy idea, like observational drawing comic book, but I think it'll make a fun zine. And again, like zines are like the perfect place to experiment on these kind of goofy ideas and see if you can make something out of them. So I don't know. To me, like, there's nothing wrong with giving it a shot and trying out some of these ideas. And I feel like, again, like something like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or so many other things that have come out, like if you think your idea isn't so good, or somebody tells you, like you tell them, your idea, and they kind of like sit there and tell you like, no, that's a dumb idea or whatever. Don't listen to them, because like if people can come up with an idea of like turtles that get, you know that that come into contact with like some weird ooze, and it turns them into like talking human like turtles, and they can play, fight, kung fu, fighting like kung fu stories and stuff like and like the origin story is so funny when they're talking about it too, because it's like, um Splinter is like a rat, a pet rat, and he learns like he learns ninjutsu from his like the his owner, um who is, a ninja guy, and like he's a rat, like he's literally just a pet rat, but he's learning these things and then he gets hit with the ooze too, so that gives him a little bit more, like he can talk like a human. And there's just definitely some like leaps of logic that you have to like kind of just not not be like too caught up in to enjoy a story like this. And that's kind of the cool thing about comics, because in comic books, um that stuff doesn't always seem as weird as it does in so many other mediums. Now, Ninja Turtles have become cartoons and movies, and the movie's really cool. It's pretty goofy, but it's also pretty cool as well. And like, it's much harder to make something like that, this idea, translate into a movie. But it wasn't, the comic book became popular, and then the cartoon became popular, and the toy line became popular. And because of that, on the strength of that, they were able to be like, all right, let's see if we can digest a movie. And then the movie blew up too. So it's like, don't ever think your idea is too silly, to try. Shelly says that's better. Okay, good. Yeah, hopefully this one works. Yeah, it's better in the dark. I'm just gonna have to kind of draw in the dark. Maybe I should do this by candlelight next time. I have to try that. So, what's up, Paul? How you doing? Thanks for coming by. I'm driving and watching. Oh, be careful. I saw like a super bad accident the other day uh with like tractor trailers involved. There was like two or like three or four tractor trailers involved. There was like a post office truck, a city bus. I mean, I didn't see it happen. It was on the coming the other way on the highway, and it had already happened, but they closed down the highway for probably a couple hours to clean that mess up. It was kind of crazy. And I was praying for the people, like I hope nobody got hurt, but it's hard to believe that nobody got, hurt, but hopefully not. Um, so the thing is too is like, um, like these ideas, like even like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like if you ever have looked into the like how the ideas kind of came about and stuff for it, like these guys were just, if you don't know, like I'll just let you know a little bit about it. Like these guys were like, just hanging out drawing, and they were trying to make comics and stuff, but they were just like watching TV and stuff, hanging out, and they were just kind of had little silly ideas, and they would try to like distract each other while they were watching TV shows and stuff, and like kind of goofing off and make fun of each other a little bit. And I guess there was this like news report or something of like these turtles in some state or something that like I don't know, they like disrupted traffic and they kicked people. I don't they were like big turtles that like kind of kicked over people on bikes. I can't remember what the story was, but anyways, they think that that might have kind of spurred the idea. But anyways, that you don't usually hear that part of the story, but I did happen to hear that as I was doing a little like looking into it today. But anyways, they were just kind of goofing off, and one of I think Kevin Eastman, you know, he uh, he just drew this turtle with like nunchucks on, tied to his wrists or whatever, and he showed it to Peter, who was watching his show or whatever, and they were just laughing. It was just something that was like funny to them, and so Peter's like, "All right, let me draw a turtle too like this," and like they're just kind of goofing off, coming up with silly ideas. Not really, I don't think they were like specifically trying to come up with a comic idea at that moment. But then, like as they kept playing around with it, they're like, all right, well, let's draw like a little bit of a scene or something, with these, you know, with four turtles with different like weapons, and that was that drawing I showed you guys. And it's like, what I should do is draw the actual. Whoops, I dropped the can. Sorry. I want to try to almost copy that style just so I can kind of observe like that particular style that I like. It's always a good way to like get better at anything, or try to learn from anything, is just copy it, If you don't, I don't, there's nothing wrong with copying, as long as you're not trying to pass it off as your own. But speaking about that, like it's not like this stuff was like unfounded too. Like um when you think about like the turtles, and again, this is really any idea, but I'm using turtles as an example because they're just super inspirational to me. Because like some of my ideas are like silly, like the hitchhiker is like this weird like alien creatures and stuff that, you know and I don't know, like just different comics that like Expando. It's like the stretching guy and stuff, and he can make like things expand and fight crime with it and stuff. And so, um, you know, really the Ninja Turtles are like they're like it's a superhero comic, really. Like when you read the first issue, it's basically, you know, I mean they're taking a lot of, almost like pretty much stealing from Daredevil. Like, they turn into these mutant turtles because, they get hit with like this weird like ooze or whatever, and that's basically what happens, in Daredevil, and why he gets powers and stuff. And there's other things too. They were heavily influenced by again Frank Miller's and Jansen's Daredevil. Uh, so you know, um, and I don't know. There's just other things, like they were very much directly getting like inspiration from like Kirby, Jack Kirby, and you can see it in their drawings and the energy and the creation of some of these characters and stuff. And also like the story is like it's basically a kung fu story. It's like a revenge story. It's very, reminiscent of like any kung fu flick, basically. Um, and you know, it's like they're not, and even one of the things they said in like the interview or something was like, you know, when they were depicting like fight scenes and stuff, it wasn't like they kind of didn't. It's not like they know, um, any kind of martial arts necessarily, but they were just basically, Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee movies. Like they're just kind of doing their best to kind of imitate what they've seen in those movies and stuff. Um, so and like I said, the story isn't like super original, and that's kind of the same thing too with like um with like even like if you think about like Superman or like Batman or Spider-Man, like they're always like kind of a mix of a bunch of different things and stuff. There can be definitely arguments for uh those things being derived from other things. Uh so yeah, I don't know. And I see like in especially in some of these original comics, I definitely see like some of their influences from like underground comics, and like I said earlier, like Von Bodie. To me, I feel like they must have been influenced by Von Bodie, especially in like this initial drawing that I'm kind of copying from a little bit. Uh, you know, it looks a lot like Cheech Wizard or Dead Bone or whatever. So I don't know. I like that more cartoony vibe to it, but they take like this weird idea, because it is weird, and mutants and stuff, obviously like X-Men and stuff, I even almost feel like there's a bit of Spider-Man in it, and also like some of the themes of like honor and responsibility and heroism and stuff are in there, and it's like they're being like goofy and weird, but at the same time they're basically doing a superhero comic, and they're doing a kung fu comic. Like they're just mixing those things that were things they were into this like goofy idea. And I don't know, like it's not actually as weird when you break it down as you would think. But there's something magic to like the fact that they took these goofy characters, because this is like it's almost like it's a Marvel comic, but it's nothing that Marvel would ever put out like at that time. Like they would have never gone for this kind of thing, I don't think. um so I don't know, like it's like kind of too goofy for superhero comics at the time, but just goofy enough for like a weird independent, couple of guys to put out and do well with. It's just this weird lightning in a bottle situation, but they're actually not going that far off the beaten path in a weird way. Um, Now, the other thing that's really interesting is that they named them after Renaissance artists, And it's like, and they even talk about it in some interviews, like they could have given them like Japanese names and stuff, but they didn't go that route, even though there's other characters in the story that are definitely like Japanese derived like names and stuff. Um, so like, but for the actual turtles, they went with Renaissance artists. Like that is such a weird decision, but it works. Like something about it makes it so fun and awesome. Uh, so I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't know what the secret sauce is or anything, but like I said, it's encouraging to me because I have a lot of oddball ideas, and like I don't necessarily want to make comics like I've since the Image days, and I found out about like what they were doing with Image, I never wanted to make like Spider-Man. If I did, I want to do my own weird take of it, or something like that. I never wanted to do, you know, I never wanted to be like an artist for Marvel or anything like that. I've always wanted to create my own characters. That's the thing that like gets me excited when I see like Jack Kirby or Rob Liefeld or like especially like Jack Kirby and Rob Liefeld, especially Eric Larson. Like those guys are people who really like thrive with just creating all kinds of characters, and you can argue whether some of like Liefeld's characters, like how derivative some of the stuff, but everything's pretty derivative, really. Like even Jack Kirby's stuff is derivative of things at times, and like, but so much stuff is derivative off of Jack Kirby's stuff. It's insane. Like Star Wars is like, you know, definitely partially taken from Kirby stuff and other stuff as well. Um, but it's all awesome to me. Like even like Star Wars is kind of an odd idea. Like there was sci-fi stuff before that, but nothing that did what Star Wars did. Um, I don't know, like it kind of had a different take on the sci-fi type of thing. And again, like you can't just take weird and put it out there and it's going to work. That's another thing. Like there has to be something to it. Like in this comic there's heart, there's energy, there's a passion. And there was a lot of people who did stuff that was derivative off of the Ninja Turtles. But obviously it was kind of like just it was obviously not like it just wasn't as interesting because there wasn't like um I don't know, there wasn't like the heart in it. It was like obviously trying to be like ironic and stuff like that, and or trying to capitalize off of the weirdness of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you know, and that's not going to work. But the Ninja Turtles, like Kevin Eastman and Laird put they put everything they loved about comics into this. And you could tell in the energy they put in it. And that's another thing too, is like, you know, if there is somebody you're influenced by, like I've talked many times obviously about like my influence from Rob Liefeld, the Image guys, McFarlane, all that stuff, Kirby, so many artists, Bill Sienkiewicz, like whoever, like there's so many amazing people, like whoever you're influenced by, you know, look at it and like when you're looking at it, don't think like how can I make like my version of, I don't know, like say you're a big Frank Miller, like how can I make my Dark Knight, or my Sin City, it's not so much that, like try to derive like the lessons of like what makes this so exciting and interesting, like what is the energy here. It's almost like capture the energy of it. That's why I think partially why like Liefeld has had so much success, because he captures a certain comic book energy that was handed down by people like Ditko and Kirby and stuff. There's a certain energy and a creativity and just a fun aspect to what he did, and what others, and Todd McFarlane, like they all talk about how they were all the Image guys, they talk about how they were influenced, a lot of them, by Art Adams. And what did they did their version of Art Adams in some ways. And they all kind of took different things from Art Adams and all their other influences. And it's like take the energy, but don't like try to copy their style necessarily. Like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is actually a really good example of that, where it's like okay, we're gonna do superhero, exciting, fun, adventure, superhero stuff, but we're gonna do it our own way. And they did it their own way. Who would have thought, of four turtles? And one thing that's interesting to me too is they kind of went a little bit deeper with the violence too. Like in this first issue, like there's violence that you don't see, and it's not like crazy gratuitous violence, but there's more violence in this than you see in like a typical like Marvel comic, usually, or like DC comic. I mean, sometimes they get there with some of these comics, but there's these guys are on missions of like revenge and stuff. Like this isn't like they kind of dial it down for like the animated series and stuff. Like it's more kid friendly and everything, but it still like keeps the essence of the turtles in the animated series. It's still like really cool. I really don't feel like drawing these circling nunchucks. Well, that's not, I could do it. It's not that bad. At least it's just kind of the gesture of it that I'm trying to get anyways, and I'm really just copying to practice. But I almost like in this like little drawing that I'm kind of sort of copying here at the moment, it's like to me that almost has like a Mad Magazine, like a Sergio Aragonis like flavor to it, even like it's just like, but take like Sergio Aragonis and then make his stuff into like a superhero story, and it's like now you got something even more, another interesting take on, so you kind of take things and you remix it or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. I just get really like inspired by these guys for sure. Let's see. uh Michelangelo, yes, yes. Yeah, Michelangelo is the nunchucks, and Raphael has the size. Donatello has the bow staff, and Leonardo has the sword. And they all, that's another cool thing about them is like you could relate to somebody in the group. Like everybody has their turtle that they relate to because they all have their own personality. Like Donatello is like the more analytical, like sciency person who knows about like computers and stuff. Raphael's like the kind of hothead who gets like, you know, uh a little bit too riled up about things. Leonardo's kind of like the leader, and he's into like the craft and lore of like being a ninja and stuff. And Michelangelo is just like the party dude. Like he's like, and he's like super energetic and more into like the fun party aspect, and that especially comes through like in the animated series. You don't see it as much, at least so far in these first two issues. You definitely see Donatello and Raphael's personalities come through, and you do see it. It's there, like, but I think they played it up even more, like in the animated series, maybe. Um, but yeah, biggest movie of this year was not super original. Tom Gun. Is it Top Gun? Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing is like that a lot of times, a lot of the things that come out these days are like they're very much like they're either remakes of things or whatever. They're like, you know, they're not like original. And even this is, even the turtles weren't like technically in a lot of ways original, but they're pretty darn original. Like there's definitely originality in it. Like there was never this kind of thing. And I think when you've hit on something relatively original when people copy what you do, and they had a lot of, they had, what was it, like the black belt adolescent hamsters or something like that was like probably the most well-known one. But there's like a bunch of other comics and stuff that came out once Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out that were obvious, like kind of imitators and stuff. So yeah. Shelly says my youngest son was a Power Rangers and X-Men fan. He would kung fu all over the house in his X-Men underwear when he was little. Hey, that's, I mean, I kung fu'd all over the house when I was a kid, for sure. For the things I was into Voltron and, um, well, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But when the cartoon came out, I was like 8 years old. So I was like kind of in the age where I'm starting to get maybe a little too old, but not really too old for it. I dug it. I liked the cartoon for sure, and I watched the movie, remembered enjoying that. But like when I was like really young and doing the kung fu in my pajamas type stuff, for me it was like Voltron and trying to think like He-Man and GI Joe, and I don't know. There were so many things, Thundercats, things like that. Let's see. I'm back. My phone died. What's up, Drew Duros Art? How you doing? Did I miss seeing you up here? Maybe. Yeah, I didn't see you earlier there, but thanks for coming back. Paul, I certainly don't know what it takes to stress, but it seems like passion, fun, and heat are key ingredients. Yeah, passion. I do think like just and something too is like the idea of like this kind of duo idea of like two people. For some reason, and there's like this idea people say like don't create in a vacuum. And maybe you don't have to create with a bunch like a ton of people around necessarily. Uh but like there's been so many like duo creators in comics and in other things too. It's not just comics. There's often been like two people who bring something together, and something about that kind of combination often brings out a better result than if they were by themselves type of thing. Now I do dig the idea of like single vision comics and pieces of art for sure, but there is something about that dual nature and like that this whole idea of just like sitting around being goofy and having fun and then saying, "You know what? Let's give it a go. Let's try to turn this into a comic." Like that's what happened with the Ninja Turtles. It really was kind of just that, two friends. Like they were trying to make comics, but they were already working on other comics. They had already created a couple other things together, things that were more meant to be almost more serious efforts. But this is the thing that stuck, you know. This is the thing that, and it was just a goofy, and that's kind of the whole idea of this thing. Is it's like a goofy, kind of stupid idea. But I don't know. It was a cool idea that ended up working, and when you take all the things that you might have tried to train yourself to do and you apply it even to a goofy idea, like there was, like I said, there's heart in these stories. There's and another thing too is they collaborated on the art and the writing of it, and where one person like lacked, the other person came through and had a strength. So they just happened to have a creative they just happened to have like the right strengths and weaknesses that complemented each other. You know what I mean? Like, so a big part of it is kind of this luck or this fortuitous like situation. Like you can't like make it happen necessarily. But there is something, I mean, Simon and Kirby like were such a great duo, and then later on, Kirby and Stan Lee, they made amazing things. There's so many other people like Ditko and Stanley, or there's always often there's like a duo like Simon and Schuster, like Bill Finger and why can't I think of his name? Bob Kane, like, making Batman and everything. Like, there's so many examples of time, even with Frank Miller and Daredevil with Jansen and stuff. Like, often, and Frank Miller is probably a different example of somebody who does have single vision sometimes on his own and does really well. Like, obviously, like Sin City and Dark Knight and stuff like that. Um, but so there's something to be said for that idea too. But sometimes I wonder, like, like, maybe ideas I have would gel better if I had a collaborator type of thing. And it doesn't mean don't do your thing on your own, and like, I'm not like pining for that or whatever, like, but I guess I have my eyes open just in case that situation comes along one day, and maybe that'll be kind of the key that makes things work better. I don't know. Who the heck knows? But I kind of drew this way wrong, but anyways, I'm just kind of sketching anyways. I'm not really super trying to make it perfect. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to me, like, because I do often kind of create in a vacuum type of thing. But sometimes there's like feedback and stuff. I'll ask a friend, like, hey, what do you think about this idea or whatever, like that kind of thing. So, it's just worth noting that, that cool ideas and sometimes not being the only one who's working on an idea can make it benefit. So I don't know. I don't know. We'll see what the future holds. But also, again, this whole idea of like experimenting with these things that might seem almost like stupid ideas. Don't pass them off as just stupid ideas. They might actually be kind of groundbreaking in some ways. And like I said, like, I'm getting into like these zines and stuff, and it's like, well, you don't have to like bet the farm on a on what might seem like a silly idea, but you can test it out. Like, make a mini comic, make a zine, testing out some of these ideas. And if it seems like some people are responding to it and it's just working as like a story or whatever it is that you're trying to make, then it might be worth expanding upon and doing a little bit. Something more with it. So yeah, I don't know. Don't wait for other people to give you permission to do your oddball idea. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying. Let's see, what else did I have? A lot of times I write down notes, but then I just kind of go off and start talking about stuff, and then I look back at my notes and I'm like, oh, I said all those things already. So I'm just trying to see basically if there's anything I missed. Let's see. Yeah, like, just basically a lot of times too is like just ideas that make you laugh. And that's why it's kind of fun to create with other people type of thing. It's like if you're just goofing around with people, like, and this has happened before. It's not just it's not just the turtles that have been something like this. There's been other situations. And it's like, if you're just goofing around and something makes you laugh, a lot of times just pay attention to those things that kind of make you laugh or make you have some kind of emotional response, because those things might actually be a great seed for a really cool idea, that when expanded on and when executed might turn into something really cool and fun to make. So, yeah. Do 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 do. And even like some of the silly ideas you might have had as like a kid or something. Like I'm gonna go back into my sketchbooks and like see what I had, and maybe I'll make like a little zine about it or a little mini comic about it, just like a little 4 page or a 1 page comic or something. Just goof around and see what I can come up with. And you never know what kind of things might come out of that. Even like things like Spider-Man is kind of like a pretty goofy idea actually. Like radioactive spider somebody gets bit by a radioactive spider. But the thing is as goofy as that is, there is real themes that came through in that story. It's more about the story. Like a lot of the goofy stuff is more just like the spice and fun part of the story. But the thing that actually makes a story good is like, are you writing from what you know? Are you creating something that you actually have a passion for, or like, you have skin in the game, like you've gone through something and you're kind of expressing that, on the page with your story type of thing. I'm like totally screwing up proportions, but again, I'm just like really goofing around here, just kind of loosely. Oh, sorry. I was drawing and the picture was over it. Sorry about that. I'll take that down. I always forget to take the comment off. So, yeah, I was just drawing. I'm just basically copying this little drawing, but not like exactly. I'm just kind of playing with shapes and stuff. Um, Here, sometimes in my sketchbook, if I do copy, I like to make it obvious, like copy from original TMNT. Let's see. Shelly had to go. That's all right. No problem. Thank you for popping in. Um, let's see. Yeah, so I don't know exactly what it takes, but it's I think it's fun to explore and try to kind of do my best to kind of pick out what things make like something like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles work, or any other like property. Um, and I think again, like kind of stealing from the energy of it, almost like not stealing in a bad way, but just like, okay, this makes me feel this certain way. How can I capture that feeling and put it into something I make? That's something I feel like I want to do. Iron sharpens iron, yes. Yeah, and that's kind of again like, yeah, having the duo type of thing, like having somebody you're working with, I think is it can be really, really helpful. I think it'd be fun if I found somebody to work with, someday, that, it just happened to be the right chemistry or something. I mean, I think of the Beatles were a four-man group, but like it was really Paul and John, who were really the core, creative force in that group. And obviously, you know, the other two like contributed in amazing ways. But you know, Paul and John were like the ones who wrote most of the songs, and it's that energy that I think really propelled the group, you know, especially. So strike, not stress. I knew that I wasn't getting that right. So let's read that again. Sorry. So he says, I certainly don't know what it takes to strike it big, but it seems like passion, fun, and heart are key ingredients. Yeah, I agree. And that's exactly what I'm saying, is like distilling down like what is the energy of the Ninja Turtles? What is like the essence? And I think what you're saying is kind of what that is, passion, fun, and heart. Like those are a big part of the essence of what, a lot of things bring, and if you can kind of reflect that somehow, like in your own way, I don't know. I just feel like you take that and synthesize that into like your own way of doing things. And that's where the magic might be. Legacy brand comics, 100% agree. Cool. uh, oh yeah, you were driving too. I hope I hope you're safe, man. Um, cool. Let's see what else. Duos get great ideas. Yes, I think so. Let's see. Sonny and Cher. There you go. I mean, there's so many. Yeah, Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, like Abbott and Costello. I did think about Abbott and Costello too. Um, there's so many though. It's like it's insane. What's up? What's up, Emilio? Thanks for coming by. Um, yeah, there's so many people who was like, you know, duos that really just somehow it just brings out the best. The sum is greater than the parts, as they say. We have the Society of Idea Collectors. You have to write things down. Yes, for sure. For sure. Sketch, doodle, and mind map. Yeah. I mean, that's what the sketchbook is all about. And that's why, like in my sketchbooks, like you saw, Dede, I remember you commenting, like saying how you liked how I write words and stuff. And it's true. Like I write my whole like story. I mean, this sketchbook in particular isn't a great example, but there's things, where I'm writing down actual words and ideas and stuff. But I do that. You've seen it in other sketchbooks. I've totally like, I mean, the glyph comic, the glyph, I don't, yeah, that one's downstairs. I can't show that sketchbook at the moment, but that's all writing so far. There's not like even any, um, hardly any drawing in that yet. I'm working out the story. So okay, here we go. Back to the turtles. So yeah, let's see. Do, 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 do. Keep a book of some type, comp book, sketchbook, 3-ring travel notebook, some way to keep I agree, keep your ideas, yeah. And speaking about ideas and stuff, oh, you did see, okay, you saw that I showed your Happy Mail, and I think this was after, but there was this cool like collage mini comic thing that I showed earlier, Dede. So I don't know. It's pretty neat. It kind of actually reminded me of your stuff a little bit, except for this is like kind of more dark, I guess, than what you usually do. Um, there's like weird creatures and stuff, but it reminds me kind of stuff you do with your um, mixed media collage stuff. So yeah, that's just a zine that I got the other day, or actually I got it today. Make lists, lots of lists. Oh man, I have so many lists. I'm always making lists. Like my thing is like my here, this is my just notes. You can't see it because the silly light stuff, but I just use notes on my phone. That's how I make the notes for my videos and stuff, and just for everything. There's so many notes, and yeah, that's what I use nowadays. But I used to use um well, I still use paper too as notes, but Drew DeRose, let's get a collab going, Marsh. Yeah, man. I mean, and I think and you never know. It's possible. That's the thing. Like I have done collaborations and stuff, you know. So yeah, I'm always like interested in kind of exploring things with people. I have my buddy Will that he's doing zines. We might collaborate on something. We'll see. But there's nothing super in the works right now for collaborations at the moment. I've been just trying to figure out my life lately a little bit, as far as just like living situations and studio situation, all that stuff. I'm pretty good at the moment. Like I'm finally settling in, I feel like, and things are good. I've been doing a lot of music stuff too lately. You guys don't see it so much because I post that. I have an Instagram and a YouTube specifically for my music. And I just been posting little like short videos and stuff. Nothing big deal. Um, but like that's something I've been just like kind of doing as I'm moving and stuff. But I'm so happy I got my studio back, kind of set up and ready to go. So I started working on a YouTube video the other day, and I'm like I was talking about earlier, and I'm looking forward to continuing that. And you know, maybe these live streams will be more often than I thought. I don't know. We'll see. It's hard to say. I do want to do like these uploaded, edited videos and stuff. But you know, I think I'm finally getting back to a place where I can start to establish a routine again, because I've been out of that for a couple months now. And so I'm excited to do that. I've been working through the whole time. I've been working on glyph. I've been working on doing sketches and drawing, and I mean, you guys have seen and stuff. But it hasn't. I haven't been able to be organized and about it and as routine about it. And now, like as of this past weekend, I'm finally like all settled of where I live and where my like studio situation is, and that probably won't change for a very long time. So that's good. Um, so I can get back, on the ground running. And hey, I guess it's appropriate time. It's coming up to the beginning of the year and all that. So yeah, Drew said we will make hundreds. I like that. That's funny. Uh, Mystic Psychic Witch, how are you? I'm good. How are you? How's it going? Let's see. Legacy Brand Comics. There is something to the saying, two heads are better than one. I agree. Dede says, "Yep, Marsh, you write a lot along with the drawing." Yeah, it's and that's one thing too. Like with character design, like a lot of people ask, like, how do you do character design and stuff like that? One of the best things you can do is just write a list of, first, actually, probably the best way to start is write your story first. Don't even do any design until you've written your story, maybe. Like that's one way to go. Like I'm not saying you have to do it that way. I usually don't do it that way. I usually draw a character and then try to make up a story a lot of times for that character. But I feel like it's better to like wait till you write the story before you start doing character designs, because you might be doing designs for things that in the writing process you'll realize actually aren't important to the story. So you might be doing some wasted stuff. But I don't know. It's kind of, the creative process is a funny process that you can't really like. It's not easy to pin down, even if you have a process that you like to use yourself. Like it's really like it. I feel like it always evolves and changes for most creators. Didi, you have a cool collection of zines, comics, and books. Yeah, I mean, I like collecting this stuff. I got rid of so much stuff, and I'm almost regretting it because I know I have more like Turtles comics and stuff too. And I meant to look for some of that stuff before I started the video. There's a few other things I was thinking of sharing, but I didn't get a chance to, so no biggie. I'll look for it and maybe show it in the next video or something. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I have. I don't know if I have as much as you, Didi, though. You have a lot of stuff too. That's really cool. Chris, Kalu, gotta go. See you around. Bye, everyone. Thanks for hanging out with us for a while. Mystic Psychic Witch says, sorry can be just, I feel story can be just as strong as art, because you can be a great artist but really not do well with the story. But yet others are great storytellers but not great or experienced artists. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with comics that's really cool, is like there's a huge opportunity to marry. art and story together, words and pictures. That's what's really cool about comics. Also about zines and stuff. And there's a lot of other there. I mean, you could do illustrated books and things like that, but and even movies and like any visual medium that's story based, is it's not easy to like figure out how that works necessarily, and how that dances together, but I think that's kind of the amazing thing to experience when it actually happens, and sometimes it can be rare. Comics, it's tough. Like there's a lot of stories out there that are just kind of okay, but then there's some good ones, so um you know it's just it's definitely the I think the goal to go for is to figure out how to marry the two, the art and the story together. And I mean, the art is the story, but at the same time, a lot of times there's a writer and an artist when it comes to comics. Sometimes two, it's just one person who's both. Sometimes, it's more driven by the artist, sometimes it's more driven by the writer. And you get a lot of interesting combinations of that. And I think, you know, like I said, a lot of times a two-person team, for some reason, when there's two people at the core who are passionate about something and excited to work on something together, a lot of times really cool things can happen. Emilio, bye. It's always good to kick it on here. Later. Thanks for coming by, man. No problem. Dede, you know anyone who uses Tapas? Tapas is we've there's been people, I don't know how to say it like right, but tapas, something like that. But there's definitely been a lot of people kind of that I've known who've been on it, but I haven't been on there too much. If I go, I usually go to like Webtoons if I go to like a site like that. That's more, but even that I don't go to like a ton. Um, but you know, there's different sites that kind of work good in when it comes to kind of digital comics. But yeah, I've been on Tapas, and it's perfectly fine, site for comics for sure. Let's see. Let's see what else. You do almost mostly urban fantasy. Okay, cool. I mean, I feel like actually Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is sort of in that realm. But it's not so I mean, it's fantasy because it's weird and it's like turtles, turtle mutant turtles, but it's more like action adventure superhero almost comic, and also kung fu, but it's definitely urban. But that's cool. I like that genre. Urban fantasy is interesting, and that's one thing that's really cool though about Turtles is it's very like street level. Like they do best when they're like in the city. There's like a part in I think the first movie. It's been a long time since I've seen the movie, but and I think the first movie where they're kind of like out in the country, and it's like it's kind of weird. It doesn't seem to be where the turtle should be, but there's been all kinds of stories with them, and they're in different environments and stuff. But I feel like they're kind of at their best when they're in the city and stuff. Personally, Paul says I write out the story of each character and then toss them all together and see what happens. Hey, that's cool. I think that's really great, and that's the thing is like when you're creating characters, I feel like you can't, well, you can do anything, but like, I feel like a big part of creating characters is creating kind of a cast of characters because it's kind of important how they play off of each other. And Turtles is actually really good for that, because they're definitely like four like kind of archetypal personalities that are very different. And there's frictions, but there's also ways that they complement each other, and they have to learn how to work as a team and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of opportunity for story, and the characters. I feel like characters have more depth when they have when you consider what the cast brings, to the whole. And it's almost like the whole idea of like, the duo creator team up type of thing. So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting how to create, but that's I think a perfectly good way of doing it though. Like you create a story for each character, toss them together. I'll as I'm writing characters, I'm thinking like, okay, sometimes you need like certain things to happen, but in order for that to happen, or you want certain things to happen, but in order for that to happen, there's got to be something that drives the character to a certain place or teaches the character about a certain thing. So you need to bring in characters specifically to facilitate those things happening. And it can feel kind of complicated, but I don't know. It's also fun. It's a fun challenge, and I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. How to do it right. So, anyways, I think all my like stuffiness from the cold and all that I've kind of gone through this past weekend is catching up with me. So I think I will let that be it for now. But I just wanted to encourage you guys about whatever idea you have that you might feel like is silly or stupid, or if somebody told you it was dumb or stupid, don't listen to them. Some people out there made a comic book about turtles that fall into ooze and become like superhero fighting crime people, and if they can do that, then you can do just about anything. And I mean, how far have they gone? Like there's been generations upon generations of people who have enjoyed and benefited and from the story that this thing brings. So, yeah, no idea is too dumb or too silly. Keep keep working on your passion. I actually really love what Paul said earlier. Let's see if we can highlight that real quick before I go. Yeah, the ingredients of passion, fun, and heart are great ingredients. If you have something like that you want to bring forth into the world, I say try it. Give it a shot. Start with a zine, start with a comic, a mini comic, maybe start with even just writing a little prose story and put it out there. And then if it seems like it has legs, expand upon it and execute. And you might come up with something really awesome. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. And for here, I'm going to sign out. Please like and subscribe if you haven't. And we'll talk to you on the next one, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with me.